If you woke up this morning feeling like your life is slipping through your fingers, if you're tired of waiting for someday, while watching the days blur into months and the months into years, then this is more than a speech. This is your turning point. The next 50 minutes will either change everything or change nothing. The choice, as always, is yours. Good evening. I want to talk with you tonight about something that affects every one of us, something that keeps intelligent, capable people living far beneath their potential. I want to talk about getting your life together. Now, I know that phrase might sound casual, almost flippant, but nothing could be more serious, because when your life isn't together, when you're drifting, procrastinating, feeling that quiet desperation that comes from knowing you're capable of more, but somehow not doing more, that's not just unfortunate. That's tragic. And here's what I've learned after years of studying success and human achievement. Getting your life together isn't complicated. It's just not easy. There's a difference. The moment of decision. Let me start with something fundamental. Right now, at this very moment, you're at a crossroads. Not metaphorically, actually. You see, every moment is a crossroads. And most people don't realize that the reason their life feels out of control is because they've stopped making decisions. They're reacting, responding, going along, but not deciding. Here's what I mean when you hit the snooze button tomorrow morning. That's not just about 10 more minutes of sleep. That's a decision about who you are. When you scroll through your phone instead of reading that book, working on that project, or having that conversation, that's not just killing time. That's a decision about your future. And the thing is, here's the thing that changes everything. When you really understand it, you're always deciding. Even when you think you're not deciding, you're deciding. Indecision is a decision. Waiting is a decision. Later is a decision. So the first step in getting your life together is to recognize that you're already making choices all day long. The question is, are you making them consciously, or are you letting them make themselves? The power of the morning hour. Now, I want to give you something practical. Something you can use starting tomorrow morning. Because philosophy without application is just entertainment. The most successful people I've studied, and I mean truly successful, not just wealthy but fulfilled, they all share one habit: they own their mornings. Here's what I suggest, and I suggest it not as theory, but as something I've tested myself and seen work for countless others. Wake up 1 hour earlier than you do now. Just 1 hour. In that hour, before the world makes its demands on you, before the phone rings and the emails flood in and other people's emergencies become your priorities, in that quiet hour, you do 3 things. First, you move your body. I don't care if it's a walk around the block or push-ups in your living room. You move. Because your body and mind are not separate things. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, and a body in motion tends to stay in motion. Start moving. Second, you feed your mind. Read something worthwhile. Listen to something educational. The mind, like the body, becomes what you feed it, and most people are feeding their minds junk food from the moment they wake up. Give yourself better fuel. Third, you plan your day. Not react to it, plan it. Write down the 3 most important things you need to accomplish. Not 20 things, 3. Because a person who chases 3 goals might catch 1. A person who chases 20 will catch none. Do this for 30 days. Just 30 days. And watch what happens not just to your productivity, but to your sense of control, your confidence, your belief in yourself, the central truth. But here's the deeper question: why don't we do these things? Why don't we take control of our mornings, our days, our lives? I'll tell you why. Because somewhere along the way, we've lost touch with purpose. You see, most people are living by accident. They never sat down and asked themselves the fundamental question: what am I trying to build with this life? They went to school because that's what you do. They got a job because you need money. They're going through the motions because, well, everyone else is going through the motions. But they never decided what they're actually trying to create. And here's the truth that will either liberate you or disturb you. You become what you think about. That's not mysticism. That's not wishful thinking. That's a law as reliable as gravity. The human mind is a goal-seeking mechanism. Whatever you consistently hold in your mind, you move toward. Give it a target, and it will figure out how to hit it. But give it nothing, and it will wander. So ask yourself right now, what am I thinking about most of the time? Am I thinking about what I want or what I fear? Am I thinking about who I'm becoming or who I used to be? Am I thinking about possibilities or limitations? Because I promise you, your life is going to match your dominant thoughts, the discipline of daily action. Now, here's where most people stumble. They get inspired, they have a moment of clarity, they set a goal, and then nothing changes. Why? Because they're waiting to feel ready. They're waiting for motivation. They're waiting for the perfect time. But let me tell you something about successful people. They don't feel ready either. They don't have more motivation than you. And the time is never perfect. The only difference is they act anyway. You see, discipline isn't about feelings. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. It's about keeping the promises you make to yourself even when, especially when no one else is watching. And here's the beautiful thing about discipline: it compounds. Every time you do the thing you said you'd do, you're not just accomplishing that task. You're building self-trust. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who follows through. And eventually, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, everything changes. So start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life by Monday. Just pick one thing. One promise you're going to keep to yourself every single day for the next week. Maybe it's making your bed. Maybe it's drinking water before coffee. Maybe it's writing for 15 minutes. I don't care what it is. Just pick something and then do it every day, no matter what. Because you're not just building a habit, you're building character, the economy of time. Let's talk about time for a moment. You and I both know that time is the great equalizer. The billionaire and the beggar both get 24 hours in a day. No more, no less. You can't buy more time. You can't save it up. You can only spend it. The question is, what are you buying with your time? Most people, if they're honest, are spending their time but getting very little in return. They're investing 20 hours a week watching television, scrolling social media, engaging in activities that leave them exactly where they started, or worse, more anxious, more distracted, more disconnected from what matters. Meanwhile, they're saying they don't have time to exercise, don't have time to read, don't have time to work on that business idea, or finish that project, or spend real, undivided time with the people they love. But here's the reality: you have time for what you make time for. Everything else is just priority, disguised as circumstance. So I want you to do something. For the next week, track your time. Every hour, write down how you spent it. Be honest. Don't change your behavior, just observe it. And at the end of the week, look at how you invested your 168 hours. Look at it honestly. And ask yourself, is this the life of someone who's going where I want to go? Because time will pass whether you use it or waste it. A year from now, you'll have spent 760 hours. The question is, will you be somewhere different or somewhere the same? Becoming, not finding. Now I want to address something I hear constantly. I'm trying to find myself, and I understand what people mean when they say that. They feel lost, uncertain, like they don't know who they really are. But here's what I've learned. You don't find yourself. You create yourself. You're not a static thing waiting to be discovered. You're a work in progress. You're becoming something every single day, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, are you becoming it deliberately or by default? Think about it. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you are. Eat healthy 5 times, you've started becoming a healthy person. Write for an hour 5 days in a row, you've started becoming a writer. Show up to the gym 5 times, you've started becoming an athlete. You don't need to know who you are. You just need to decide who you want to become, and then start acting like that person today, right now, in small ways. Because here's the secret: you don't become confident and then take action. You take action and confidence follows. You don't become disciplined and then start doing hard things. You do hard things and discipline develops. Action creates identity, not the other way around, the courage to begin again. Now let me speak to those of you who are thinking, but you don't understand. I've tried before. I've failed. I've let myself down so many times. I hear you. And I want you to know something: failure is not falling down. Failure is staying down. Every successful person you admire, every person who's gotten their life together, who's built something meaningful, who's living with purpose and integrity, they've all failed, multiple times, in big ways. The difference is they didn't quit. They didn't let one failure or 10 failures or 100 failures define them. They understood something crucial: every moment is a chance to begin again. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait until next month or next year or until conditions are perfect. You can begin again right now, this moment, this breath. The past is over. It has no power except what you give it. And the future hasn't happened yet. All you have, all you've ever had is now. So here's my question for you. What would you do differently if you truly believed you could begin again right now? Would you make that phone call? Start that project? Have that conversation? Take that first step? Then do it. Not tomorrow. Today, the life that's waiting. I want to close with this thought. Right now, there's a version of your life waiting for you. A life where you wake up with purpose. Where you spend your days doing work that matters to you. Where you're surrounded by people you love and who love you. Where you're healthy, growing, contributing. That life isn't a fantasy. It's not reserved for other people, the lucky ones, the talented ones, the ones who had it easier than you. That life is available to anyone willing to pay the price. And the price is simple decision, discipline, and daily action. It won't happen overnight. You won't have your life completely together in 50 minutes. But you can decide to start in the next 5 minutes. And that decision, followed by consistent action, will change everything. Because here's what I know to be true. You become what you think about. You achieve what you work toward. You deserve what you settle for. So stop settling. Stop waiting. Stop letting life happen to you. Your life won't get together by itself. You have to get it together. Deliberately. Intentionally. Starting now, the question isn't whether you can do this. The question is, will you? You know, I've noticed something troubling over the years. I've watched bright, capable people with talent, with opportunities, with everything they need to succeed, stay stuck in the same place year after year, same job they hate, same habits that drain them, same problems that never get solved. And when you ask them why, they always have an answer. I'm waiting for the right time. I need to think about it more. I want to be sure before I commit. Once things settle down, then I'll... It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Prudent even. Why rush into something? Why not wait until you have all the information? Until conditions are perfect, until you feel completely ready. But here's what's really happening beneath all that reasonable sounding talk. What looks like careful consideration is actually something else entirely. It's fear wearing the mask of wisdom. It's paralysis dressed up as patience. And worst of all, it's a slow form of surrender that people mistake for keeping their options open. Because here's the truth about decisions. Not deciding is still a decision. When you say, I'll think about it, what you're really saying is no to change. When you say, maybe later, you're saying yes to right now, to things staying exactly as they are. The job you're tolerating, the health you're neglecting, the dreams you're postponing. Every day you don't decide is a day you've decided. You've just decided to stay where you are. Now, I want you to understand something fundamental about how life actually works. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Opportunities don't pause while you gather more information. Time doesn't stop while you build up courage. The world is moving every single day. And while you're waiting to decide, life is deciding for you. Your body is aging. Your relationships are changing. Your opportunities are being taken by other people who weren't more qualified than you, weren't smarter than you, but simply decided faster than you. Think about it this way: every great thing in your life, every good thing came from a decision. The person you married, that came from a decision, not from waiting until you had absolute certainty. The career you started, that came from saying yes before you felt completely ready. The city you moved to, the friendship you invested in, the skill you developed, all of it began with a decision. And here's the beautiful part, the part that changes everything when you really grasp it the moment you make a real decision. Not a wish, not a hope, maybe someday, but a genuine, committed decision. Something shifts. Suddenly, the path becomes clearer. Resources you didn't know existed start appearing. People show up to help. Ideas come to you. It's not magic. It's just that your mind, once it knows where it's going, starts showing you how to get there. You see, your mind is the most powerful goal-seeking mechanism ever created. But it can't seek what you haven't aimed it at. It can't solve problems you haven't committed to solving. It can't create what you haven't decided to build. A real decision cuts off all other possibilities. That's what the word means, to cut off. And yes, that can feel frightening. But it's also liberating, because once you've decided, truly decided, you stop wasting energy on doubt. You stop exhausting yourself by keeping one foot in and one foot out. You stop the internal argument that drains you every single day. You just move forward. And movement, even imperfect movement, is infinitely more powerful than perfect stillness. So ask yourself right now, what decision have you been avoiding? What have you been thinking about for months, maybe years? What are you waiting for, really waiting for? Because I can tell you this with absolute certainty. You will never have perfect information. You will never feel completely ready. The time will never be just right. But the life you want, it's waiting on the other side of a decision you're afraid to make. Make it today, right now. Because nothing changes until you do. The discipline of small acts. You know what keeps most people from the life they want? It's not lack of talent. It's not bad luck. It's not even lack of opportunity. It's that they're looking for the big moment, the breakthrough, the dramatic transformation. They want to wake up one morning and suddenly be different, successful, healthy, disciplined, accomplished. And because they're waiting for that big moment, they dismiss the small ones. They think, what difference will 15 minutes make? What's one day going to change? How can such a tiny action possibly matter when I have so far to go? So they do nothing. Or worse, they do something only when they feel inspired, motivated, energized. And then they wonder why their life isn't changing. Let me tell you something that might save you years of frustration. There is no big moment coming. There's no lightning bolt. No magic day when everything suddenly clicks into place. That's a fantasy we tell ourselves to avoid doing what needs to be done today. What changes lives, what actually builds the person you want to become, is so small, so unglamorous, so ordinary that most people miss it entirely. They're looking for the grand gesture, while ignoring the quiet power of the unremarkable daily act. Here's what I mean. Let's say you want to write a book. That feels enormous, doesn't it? Overwhelming. Where do you even start? How do you find the time? How do you maintain the motivation for something that will take months, maybe years? But what if I told you to write just 300 words today? That's it. Not a chapter, not a masterpiece. Just 300 words, about one page. That doesn't sound so hard, does it? In fact, it sounds almost too easy to matter. And that's exactly the point. Because 300 words a day is roughly 100,000 words a year. That's a book. A whole book. Not from heroic effort or massive life overhaul, but from one small act, repeated quietly, when no one's watching, when there's no applause, when it feels like it doesn't even count. The same principle applies to everything. Want to get in shape? You don't need a dramatic fitness transformation. You need to move your body for 20 minutes today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. Want to build a business? You don't need a revolutionary idea. You need to do one thing, make one call, write one email, serve one customer every single day. This is how transformation actually works in the real world. Not in explosions, but in accumulation. Not in moments, but in minutes. Not in inspiration, but in iteration. And here's the part that changes everything. These small acts do something far more valuable than just moving you toward your goal. They're changing who you are. Every time you do the thing you said you'd do, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when no one's watching, especially when it seems too small to matter, you're becoming someone different. You're becoming the kind of person who keeps promises to themselves. The kind of person who shows up. The kind of person who doesn't need perfect conditions to do what's right. Think about it. Every successful person you admire got there the same way. Not by doing something spectacular once, but by doing something small spectacularly consistently. The writer who published 20 books. She wrote when she didn't feel like it. The entrepreneur who built an empire. He made sales calls when he was afraid. The athlete who won championships. She trained on the days when her body hurt and her motivation was gone. They weren't more talented than you. They weren't more inspired than you. They were just more consistent than you. And consistency, real consistency, is built in the moments that don't feel important. It's built at 6 in the morning when you're tired. It's built on Tuesday evening when you're bored. It's built in the space between excitement and results, where most people quit. Because here's the truth: excitement gets you started, but discipline gets you finished. And discipline isn't this massive, superhuman quality reserved for special people. It's just doing small things when you don't want to. That's all it is. So stop waiting for the big moment. Stop looking for the dramatic transformation. Stop dismissing today's small action because it feels insignificant. Start where you are. Do what you can, even if it's tiny, even if it feels like it doesn't count, even if no one will see it or praise it or even notice it. Because those small acts in the quiet hours when no one's watching, that's where your future is actually being built. Do one small thing today, then do it again tomorrow, and watch what happens when you stop looking for the breakthrough and start trusting the process. The compass of purpose. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine getting in your car, starting the engine, and just driving. No destination, no map. No idea where you're going. Just driving. You might end up somewhere interesting. You might cover a lot of ground. But more likely, you'll just wander in circles, burn through your fuel, and end up back where you started, frustrated, exhausted, and no closer to anywhere meaningful. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. That's exactly how most people are living their entire lives. They're busy. Lord knows they're busy, working long hours, checking off tasks, filling their calendars, staying in motion. But if you ask them, where are you going? What are you building? What's all this activity actually for? They couldn't tell you. Not really. They're moving, but they're not going anywhere. They're working, but they're not building anything. They're living, but they're not really heading toward anything in particular. And deep down, they know it. That's where that quiet desperation comes from, that feeling at the end of busy days that you've accomplished a lot but achieved nothing. That sense that years are passing, but you're standing still. So they tell themselves, I'll figure it out eventually. Right now I'm just focused on getting through the day, making it to the weekend, paying the bills. Once things settle down, once I have more time, once I'm less overwhelmed, then I'll think about what I really want. But things never settle down. There's never more time. The overwhelm never lifts. Because business without direction doesn't lead anywhere, it just leads to more business. Here's what's actually happening. Without a clear purpose, without knowing what you're trying to create with this life, every decision becomes equally important and equally unimportant. Every opportunity looks like it might be the right one. Every distraction feels just as valid as your priorities. You say yes to things that don't matter and no to things that do, because you have no way to tell the difference. You're like a ship without a rudder. The wind blows and you go that direction. The current shifts and you drift that way. Someone waves from the shore and you head toward them. Not because these are the right directions, but because you have no idea what the right direction even is. Now, let me tell you what changes when you get clear on your purpose, when you actually sit down and decide what you're trying to build, who you're trying to become, what you want your life to stand for. Everything gets simpler, not easier, simpler. Suddenly decisions that used to paralyze you become obvious. Opportunities that used to distract you lose their appeal. Other people's opinions that used to derail you stop mattering so much, because you have a standard to measure everything against. Does this take me toward my purpose or away from it? That's what purpose does. It acts as a filter, a compass, a decision-making tool that works whether you're choosing a career, a relationship, how to spend your evening, or what to say no to. Think about the people you know who seem to have their lives together, the ones who aren't necessarily smarter or more talented or luckier than everyone else, but who somehow seem to be making progress while everyone else is spinning their wheels. What do they have in common? They know where they're going. They've defined success for themselves instead of letting society define it for them. They've looked at their values, their strengths, what lights them up, what they want to contribute, and they've pointed their lives in that direction. And here's the beautiful part. Once you have that clarity, once you know your destination, the path starts revealing itself. Resources appear. People show up to help. Opportunities that align with your purpose seem to find you. Not because the universe is magical, but because you're finally paying attention to the right things. Your mind is always working in the background, looking for solutions to the problems you give it. But if you haven't clearly defined the problem, if you don't know what you're trying to build, your mind has nothing to work on. It just spins. So let me ask you directly, what's your purpose? Not what you do for a living, what you're trying to create. Not what other people expect, what matters to you. Not someday, right now, with the life you have, where are you trying to go? If you can't answer that clearly, then that's your first task, not tomorrow. Today, because every day without direction is a day spent wandering, and you don't have unlimited days. Get clear on where you're going. Write it down. Make it specific enough that you'll know whether you're moving toward it or away from it. And then, and this is crucial, use it as your compass for every decision that follows. Purpose doesn't eliminate hard work, but it ensures your hard work is taking you somewhere worth going. The economy of time. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time you said, "I just don't have time"? Maybe it was about exercise, or reading, or working on that project you've been thinking about, or spending real, undistracted time with the people you love. I just don't have time. And when you say it, you believe it, you feel it, because you're busy, genuinely busy. There's always something demanding your attention, always another task, another obligation, another fire to put out. So you tell yourself, when things slow down, I'll get to it. When work eases up, when the kids are older, when I have more energy, when life gives me a break, then I'll have time for what really matters. But let me tell you something that might sting a little, because it stung me when I first realized it. Time isn't something you find, it's something you make. And when you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying, whether you realize it or not, is, "That's not a priority for me." Now, before you object, stay with me for a moment. You have time for what you make time for. That's not a judgment, it's just a fact. You and I both have exactly 168 hours every week, same as everyone else. The CEO and the struggling entrepreneur, the person in great shape and the person who's let their health slide, the writer who's published 10 books and the person who's been meaning to write for 10 years. Same hours, different choices. Here's what's really happening. Every minute you spend is a choice about what matters to you. Not what you say matters, what actually matters. Because your calendar and your bank statement tell the truth about your priorities better than your words ever could. When you spend 2 hours scrolling social media, but say you don't have time to read, you're not time poor. You're priority confused. When you binge, watch a series for 3 hours but can't find 30 minutes to exercise, you're not lacking time. You're lacking honesty with yourself about how you're investing it. And I say investing deliberately, because that's what time is, an investment. The only investment you'll ever make that you can't get back. Money you can earn again. Relationships you can repair. Mistakes you can correct. But time, once it's spent, it's gone forever. So the question isn't, do I have time? The question is, how am I spending my time and what am I getting in return? Let me give you something practical, something that changed my entire relationship with time. For 1 week, just 7 days, track every hour. Write down how you spent it. Don't change your behavior. Just observe it. Be brutally honest. Social media, television, meetings that accomplished nothing, conversations that went nowhere, time spent worrying, complaining, scrolling, avoiding. At the end of the week, add it up. Look at where 168 hours went. And then ask yourself, if I'm investing my time this way, where will I be in a year, in 5 years, in 10? Because here's the truth, you're going to spend those hours whether you plan to or not. Time doesn't stop. A year from now, you will have spent 760 hours of your life. The only question is, will you have spent them or invested them? Most people spend time like it's unlimited. They waste Monday because there's always Tuesday. They waste this year because there's always next year. They waste their 30s because there's always their 40s. Until suddenly there isn't. Suddenly they're looking back at decades that somehow vanished, wondering where all that time went. But here's the liberating truth. You don't need more time. You need to use the time you have differently. You don't need 8 hours to work on your dream. You need 1 focused hour without distractions. You don't need a full day to transform your health. You need 30 minutes of intentional movement. You don't need a week to strengthen a relationship. You need 20 minutes of genuine, undivided attention. The problem isn't the amount of time you have. It's the quality of attention you're bringing to the time you're using. It's the distractions you're allowing. It's the low-value activities you're protecting while calling high-value activities impossible. Think about it this way. If someone offered you 86,400 today, but told you that whatever you didn't spend by midnight would disappear forever, would you let any of it go to waste? Would you be careless with it? That's how many seconds you have in a day, 86,400. And every single one that passes is gone forever. You can't save it. You can't invest it tomorrow. You can only use it now or lose it now. So stop lying to yourself about time. Stop pretending you don't have enough When you've spent 3 hours today on things that don't move you toward anything you actually care about, start treating time like what it is, your most valuable non-renewable resource. Protect it, invest it, use it deliberately. Because the life you want isn't built with the time you'll have someday. It's built with the time you're wasting today. The practice of becoming. I hear this all the time from people who feel stuck. I just need to find myself. I need to figure out who I really am. Once I discover my true self, then everything will fall into place. And I understand the sentiment. When you're uncertain about your direction, when you're living a life that doesn't feel like yours, when you look in the mirror and don't quite recognize the person looking back, that desire to find yourself makes perfect sense. So they read books. They take personality tests. They go on retreats. They wait for some moment of clarity, some revelation that will show them who they truly are. They're searching, seeking, trying to uncover this hidden authentic self that's been buried somewhere inside them all along. And while they're searching, while they're trying to find themselves, years pass. They're still in the same job, still stuck in the same patterns, still waiting for that moment of discovery that will finally tell them who they're supposed to be. I'm still figuring myself out, they say. Once I know who I really am, then I'll know what to do. But here's what I've learned after years of studying human achievement and personal development. After talking to thousands of people who've transformed their lives. You're not a treasure chest waiting to be opened. You're not a mystery waiting to be solved. You're not a fixed thing that needs to be discovered. You're something far more powerful than that. You're a work in progress. You're constantly being created. And here's the crucial part, you're the one creating you. Every single day, with every action you take, you're not finding yourself, you're building yourself. You're becoming someone. The only question is, are you becoming that person deliberately or by accident? Let me show you how this actually works. When you exercise today, you're not discovering that you're a healthy person. You're becoming a healthy person. When you read for 30 minutes, you're not finding out that you're educated. You're becoming educated. When you show up and do the work even when you don't feel like it, you're not revealing that you're disciplined. You're building discipline. Every action is a vote for the type of person you are. Get enough votes in one direction, and that's who you become. Not who you always were, just waiting to be discovered. Who you built yourself into, choice by choice, action by action, day by day. Think about it this way. If you ate healthy food for 30 days straight, would you say, I discovered I'm a healthy eater? No. You'd say, I became a healthy eater. If you wrote every single day for 6 months and completed a book, would you say, I found out I'm a writer? No. You'd say, I became a writer. Identity follows action, not the other way around. This is one of the most liberating truths you'll ever understand. Because it means you're not trapped by your past. You're not limited by who you've been. You're not stuck waiting to discover some predetermined destiny. You can decide who you want to become, and then start acting like that person today, right now. And with enough repetitions, enough votes, enough consistent action, you will become that person. Not because you found them hiding inside you, but because you built them deliberately through your choices. Want to become confident? Now stop waiting to feel confident and start taking actions a confident person would take. Speak up in that meeting. Have that difficult conversation. Try that thing you're afraid of. Each time you do, you're casting a vote for I am someone who acts despite fear. Do it enough times, and that's who you become. Want to become successful? Stop waiting to discover your calling and start working like a successful person works. Show up early. Stay late when necessary. Do more than you're paid for. Keep your promises. Each action is a vote for I am someone who creates value. Enough votes and success follows. Want to become the kind of person who has their life together. Stop searching for some hidden truth about yourself and start acting like someone who has their life together. Make your bed. Keep your promises. Do what you say you'll do. Show up on time. One action at a time, one vote at a time, you become that person. You see, most people have this backwards. They think, once I figure out who I am, then I'll know what to do. But it actually works the opposite way. Once I start doing, I'll discover, no, I'll create who I am. Your identity is not your destiny, it's your history. It's the accumulated record of your actions up until this moment. And every moment gives you the chance to cast a new vote, to move in a new direction, to become someone different than who you were yesterday. So stop searching. Stop waiting for some revelation about your true self. Stop using "I'm still figuring myself out" as an excuse to avoid taking action. Decide who you want to become. Then start acting like that person today. Not perfectly. Not all at once. Just one choice. One action. One vote. Because you don't find yourself. You create yourself. And you're creating yourself right now, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, are you creating the person you want to be? So here's what I want you to do. As soon as this speech ends, not later today, not tomorrow morning, but in the next 60 seconds, I want you to do one small thing that moves you toward the life you want. Write down your 3 most important goals. Set your alarm 1 hour earlier. Send that message you've been putting off. Throw out the junk food. Open that book. Do 10 push-ups. One action, right now. Because that's how transformation begins. Not with perfect conditions. Not with total clarity. Not with a flash of lightning and a voice from heaven. It begins with one decision, followed by one action taken by one person, you, in one moment, this one. Your life is waiting. Go get it together. Good night and good fortune.